Dan Campbell just did a press conference. We're going to do the takeaways from that press conference. A lot to talk about. It was over 20 minutes at the NFL Scouting Combine. Talk about free agency and the draft. Give you my thoughts. Let's go. Since Dan Campbell covered a lot, we're just going to jump straight into this thing and give you the thoughts right off rip. So initially, he was talking about building a team through the NFL draft is the biggest part of the Lions towards building a great roster. And I 100% agree with Dan Campbell there, folks. I know a lot of people love it to get this big guy in free agency, that big guy in free agency, but that's not really how you build a roster. How you build a roster is finding young talent that can help this team out in the draft. You have lower pay due to salary because they're rookies. You can use the rookie wage scale for multiple years, and you're getting younger and getting the building blocks through the draft. Free agency is about supplementing. It's about getting depth and selected veterans to help out. It's not the way you want to legitimately build your team through. That is all the NFL draft, and I 110% agree with Dan Campbell on this one. You're not going to get players that are going to be your building blocks generally through free agency. You do that with the St. Browns. You do that with the Aleem McNeils, the Penei Sewells, the Aiden Hutchinsons. That is how you legitimately build a team. That's why we're so much better now than what used to be through general managers past and regimes past, is we actually draft our players. So just because we're not getting the biggest guys in free agents doesn't mean that we're going to suck at all. You got to be sound when it comes to spending and doing contracts, because you don't want to sign a guy in free agency that ends up being Trey Flowers. It just hurts your team in the long run. You get selected guys to build through the depth, and maybe you can find a really good player like a Glover Quinn or a Golden Tate. That can happen, but generally speaking, you want to get the guys in the draft. So let me know in the comment section, where do you believe you build the team through the draft? Is it more free agency, or is it through young talent? Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on this one. Talked about free agency as a way to acquire depth pieces, not the main way to build a roster. Again, just like I said there, that is absolutely correct. Don't really need to speak on it much or more. Ben Johnson coming back to the Detroit Lions, a massive offseason win for the Lions. It is. I think it's the biggest offseason move. Getting Ben Johnson to come back as OC is massive. The continuity of this offense, what he has done with this offense and Jared Goff, is absolutely amazing. And I really wanted him to come back. I didn't think it was going to happen, and he did. Love it. We know our offense is going to be good next year. We don't have to worry about that. Bringing in a new OC. We can continue to develop our coaches to potentially be the heir apparent to Ben Johnson, but it's not Ben Johnson. And we don't have to worry about the offense taking a step back, anything like that. We know this is going to be a great offense because he is a great play caller. Is he perfect? Absolutely not. But to me, he's the best OC in football. He's the best coordinator in the NFL. And when you have a guy of that stature on your team, it's going to elevate your play on the field. It's going to elevate your offense. Does he make mistakes? Yes. Is he perfect? No. Can we complain about some play calls? Absolutely. But make no mistake about it, he's the best OC in football. So I love to whine and nitpick, and I'm sure other people like to do it as well, but we all know at the end of the day, he's a real one. So let me know in the comment section, do you believe that Ben Johnson is the best offensive coordinator in the National Football League? Why for yes and for no? Let me know your thoughts. Now, if you don't like overpaying for sports, you need to get Game Time. With killer deals, last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed, you can stop stressing over sports and start getting hyped for the fun that you're going to have. It is easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area, whether that's sporting events, concerts, comedy shows, or whatever, with their lowest prices guaranteed is the Game Time guaranteed, which means you'll always get the best prices and find tickets in the same section in a row or less. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. You can get exclusive flash deals for tickets for football, baseball, basketball, concerts, and more. In the middle screenshot, by the way, I think it's a fantastic feature of the app. It shows you where your screen is, and you can see the surrounding area like a 3D live photo. So get Game Time today. It's real easy. Go to Game Time, download it, create an account, Terms do to apply to save money and get $20 off your very first purchase. It's simply go to the redeem code section, plug in Lions Chat to get $20 off your very first purchase. You need an email, you need an account, and terms do apply. So the link is going to be in the comment section and description of this video. If you're buying Lions tickets this year, make sure using Game Time. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Dan Campbell reflects in the Lions season, what went well and what needs to improve. Of course, he's going to reflect on it. Play calling, of course. He's going to reflect on, what needs to get better. Obviously, everybody knows this. That's the defense that needs to get better. Everybody knows the corner and pass rush. It is no secret. Dan Campbell knows this. He reflects on his play calling, and he continues to get better. That's just what's going to happen as he gets more time on his belt as a head coach. When to take timeouts, when to go for it, all of that. There's things that he can improve on. He knows this. But he's an aggressive coach. This is what he's going to do. He's going to be aggressive. And I like the style that he does. I don't like it. Just like we talked about with Ben Johnson. Not everything that he does is great. Sometimes you're like, Dan, just kick the effing field goal. We need to get better there, right? But he may not trust Michael Badgley long distance. Remember, Michael Badgley's 46% past 50 yards. That ain't good. And with our offensive line and our ability to run, and the play calling of Ben Johnson, and Jared Goff's crunch time and the ability to really make big plays in the big moments, of course they're going to go for it. Sometimes it's just not going to work. You live by the sword and you die by the sword. But I like what he brings to the Detroit Lions, and of course there's things he can improve on, and he knows this. He's not an idiot. He's being for what he is, just a successful head coach, turning this franchise around. He is extremely humble, and he is okay with criticism as well as learning from past mistakes. And so that's something that y'all ask for. He's not some egotistical maniac like a Matt Patricia where nothing that he does is wrong. He is not that at all. He is always willing to learn. And that is a great characteristic of any leader, of any sort of event, whether you're in the military or in this case as a head coach, your ability to learn and adapt and improve. And when you have that ability, it just makes you a really, really good coach. And he lets his coaches coach. He doesn't micromanage. He talks literally about micromanaging. He doesn't do that. And that's the type of leader you want, is an individual that lets their leaders do their job. And you can be successful when you do that. So let me know in the comment section. Do you think that Dan Campbell is getting better? Does he improve? Do you believe that? Leave me your thoughts in the comments below on that one. Let's continue on here. The next one, Dan Campbell is all not upset about how he managed the game for the NFC Championship. He's not upset about it. And yes, we can criticize him. But folks, let's keep it 100. Let's put the truth out there. We're not in the NFC Championship game without an aggressive Dan Campbell. If he was bland, we don't make it there. Again, just like we said earlier, you live by the sword and you die by it. So, can we nitpick? Yes. But I don't want him to change. I really don't want him to change. I don't. I like it. I like his style. And just continue being you. And he has no regrets over that. And that's awesome. You shouldn't regret it. Let's keep it also 100 in the NFC Championship game. If Laporta, St. Brown, and most importantly, Josh Reynolds catch those fourth downs or big plays and third down in the NFC Championship game, we're going to win. They're good throws. They're good plays. It was just drops. It was just drops. And generally speaking, those players don't make drops much. So the play call was correct. The execution failed. So we're going to really get that upset about it? About the coach in the OC? If the players just drop the football? I don't think so. I think the players got to execute it. It was in their hands. The ball was in their hands. You just got to catch it. And they didn't do that. Now, after a couple times of that occurring, maybe Dan Campbell says, you know what? We need to adjust fire here because it's not working. That's something you can criticize for sure. Because if it ain't working the first couple times, it's probably not going to work the next time. There, just a couple years ago in the Patriots game where you just kept going for it on fourth down. It wasn't working the first 3 times, maybe the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth time. You don't do it. That's one of those deals that you can look at. Same with the Cowboys game. We should have won that game with the 2-point conversion, but when it failed the first couple times, maybe you should kick the field goal the next time, the extra point the next time. So that's something they can improve on. Dan Campbell has changed how franchise hire coaches. Yep, he talked about that about Antonio Pierce, hiring former coaches to be your head coach. Dan Campbell did blow that up, right? He opened that up to where teams now look at former coaches and say, I'll take a chance on him. I don't think he was the first one to do it. Obviously, you had the Mike Vrabels before him, but Dan Campbell really did change how teams hire coaches. Now, Antonio Pierce was beloved by the players, beloved by fans over there, and so they're pretty much demanding him to be the head coach because he's well respected. I don't necessarily say, well, his success is because of Dan Campbell. No, it's because he's a good coach too. He's a good player. He's respected. Not every former player is going to be a good coach. Dre Bly, he didn't do well here, right? So not necessarily. But he did open up the floodgates for that to occur, in my opinion. Same with his play calling and his aggressiveness. A lot of teams started going for it on fourth down more because Dan Campbell did. So he is making trends, for sure. The importance of depth for the Detroit Lions to maintain quality play is if starters go down. Again, depth is not the most sexiest things to sign or draft, but it is extremely important. You have to have depth because injuries do occur. Look at all the teams this year that lost starting quarterbacks and affected them. Well, we got a Hendon Hooker here. We're fine if that occurs. Offensive linemen, we do got to get better at depth there so when players go down. But Awushika stepped in, and he was hot and cold sometimes. Got to have depth at the corner position. Vildor, ability to bring in guys that can play for you. So it is huge for free agency. So when we sign free agents to depth like a Jalen Reeves-Maybin, don't get upset about it. It's massive. Yes, he's just a special teamer, but he does 10 plays at the LB position in game, and it's important to have those. It's important to have depth at wide receiver. It's important to have depth at linebacker. All of this is important because players go down. Finally, he talked about not much benefit from losing the NFC Championship game. Look, they asked him about what's the benefits of losing. Personally, I don't really see any benefit of it. You can kind of maybe look back how you manage a game or the fourth down. But in all honesty, is it really something that you can change bigly? I don't think so. Not much you can take away, except for also being pissed off and coming back in 2024/5 to win the game. I mean, that may be the benefit. But I honestly, it's not much of a benefit to lose a game that gets you to a Super Bowl. Maybe some players in the clutch. That's another thing you can look at. Are these guys going to be clutch in a playoff game with those drops? I don't know. I don't see much of benefit with that at all, folks. We're dropping videos every single day, so get ready for that. Subscribe to the channel. With that said, folks, adios.